and we will be on Discord here. We'll get rolled out, get everything shared out, and then we'll go ahead and get started here. Change one setting here, looks good. And I'll give you one back. All right. Well, one quick thing before we get started, we'll go ahead and get this shared out to all of our groups here. That looks good. Catch me on the island. Go ahead and give me a ride on. I'll give. See, great. All right. So one thing, this is a quick medical disclaimer that the only purpose of this live stream is to educate and to inform and is not a substitute for professional care by a doctor or any other qualified medical professional. This live stream is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services. Just need a couple more here. Shares out here. All right, so a couple goals of the live stream are going to be to present articles in the media covering food, hydration, and how it relates to endurance sports, and open a dialogue for viewers to ask questions or to get advice about, or to talk about their experiences with the topic. All right, so we have a really interesting topic today. It's actually going to be talking about how to optimize your post-workout recovery. So this is a situation that we're looking at. Let me go back one slide. This is a situation where we're looking or something like that. This comes up at a good time because Zwift Fitness and Team ODZ are actually teaming up to do an FTP challenge for C and D riders. It allows them to get a scheduled workout, a structured workout for 8 weeks. And so it allows them to kind of get an idea of how much we can grow that fitness over the course of doing some structured workouts. So definitely good on that end. So doing workouts back to back, that is kind of what we're looking at today. Stage races in particular, for example, for those on the elite level, or just working out back to back to back, and how we handle that sort of thing. So some of the topics we're going to cover today is that we're going to focus on, that we're going to need to focus on fluid intake throughout the afternoon and evening. Oh my gosh, I need to kill that. We're also going to need to replenish energy levels with quality nutrition. Also need to think about getting more sleep, and utilizing compression and proactive cooling methods. So all those things that you've kind of seen in the media, we could definitely take a look at. All right, so now we've got this all shared out to our venues, we can move on. All right, let me stand up. All right, so focusing on fluid intake all day. So what we're looking at is in multi-day events or training, it's actually impossible to replace all your fluids during a stage. And so what ends up happening is it actually ends up leaving you dehydrated throughout the day. Let's say, you're riding, you're doing a 4-5 hour ride. Even though you're drinking constantly while you're on the bike, you could actually end up being dehydrated at the end of the day. Even though, in our talks before, we're hydrating as much as we can. We're getting the salt, we're using the second way to get water into the body as far as with the glucose and that sort of thing. Definitely something that we need to pay attention to and look at. And so making sure that you focus all day. That means on and off the bike. So the minute that you get off the bike, you're looking at rehydrating should be your very first priority. A lot of times at the end of the ride, you really just want to lay down on the side of the road and pretty much just bonk out. But what we're looking to do, or what we want to try to do, is making sure, literally just take everything that's left out in your pockets and you could actually put it in. Finish the bottles, finish the gels, whatever you have in your pockets, I would say throw down. That way you're getting that both nutrition and hydration put in at the end of a ride. A lot of times as you're finishing up a ride, let's say you're doing, a metric, or you're doing an Imperial 100-mile ride, you get to like 70, 80-mile mark and you could see the finish line, you could see the barn, and you're almost done, and you stop drinking and you stop eating. In the consideration of your next day, you need to start that hydration, you need to start that nutrition and feeding the day before, during the ride, so that that day is fueling for the day after. Okay? All right, so how to optimize as far as all the intake throughout a day. What you can do is you could actually weigh yourself before and after a workout to get an idea of how well you're hydrating. We did talk a little bit about this yesterday, doing this in training, to give you an idea if and how much you're hydrating, and if you are drinking enough, just to get an idea. It was called the prescribed hydration method, if you recall from yesterday. So we can definitely do that. So fluids will include both plain water, those also including electrolytes, as well as carbohydrate solutions. It could be through post-recovery drinks, which we'll talk a little bit about later. But definitely when it's multiple days, definitely try to leave out alcohol. I know at the end of a ride, a lot of riders will want to kind of reach for that, but I think we can wait for that to happen at the very end of the ride. Let's say end of the stages, end of the training, and that sort of thing could be a much safer, better way to kind of handle that. All right. So one thing to also remember is that we want to replenish with the energy levels with quality nutrition. So a lot of times the primary goal of what we need to think about is the primary goal of a post-workout recovery drink is to accelerate and the replenish of muscle glycogen. And this brings up a really good point. So a lot of times when, let's say you have 4 workouts in a week and you have a gap, let's say you do 2 hard workouts a day, you have a gap, and then 2 hard workouts and then a gap, for example, or even gaps between all the days. Let's say Monday, Tuesday off, Wednesday, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday on. So on those days in between, you may want to think about not needing that post-recovery drink on the rides that you don't have back-to-back. The reason why is that you're not actually going to be on the bike in the next 24 hours. So that's definitely something that you can kind of think about if you actually need that. Because in fact, if you were to just get off the bike and have your normal, let's say, breakfast meal or meal that you're at throughout the day, within 24 hours, if you weren't training in the next 24 hours, you would actually be able to replenish those carbohydrate levels, those protein levels, all of those things without having to have that quick post-recovery drink. So a lot of times there's a lot of discussion about having that drink afterwards. I think getting nutrition in is important, but I think making sure what your goals are for the next day is also important as well. So think about that. If you do have an event or a workout the next day within 24 hours, I would say go ahead and go for that. Get fueled up, get topped up. But if not, if it's a rest day the next day, I would say just go on and go ahead and have your normal meals and things like that. And a lot of my athletes do really well with that. And then the next point would be that recovery drinks are very important during multi-day events, like I was saying, because glycogens are so depleted every single day. You're really needing to kind of get that filled up every single day as well. Things like that, and a lot of my athletes do really well. So let's see. So along those lines too, that back-to-back riding does not give the license for us to just eat crazy junk food. So it's just a matter of getting quality nutrition, thinking of the macros, thinking about making sure you're getting those clean carbohydrates in, clean protein sources, and then also healthy fats as you get further away from the workout, to making sure that you have this complete, this trifecta of macros that you're putting in to get into your body and to get the nutrition that you need to go on to the next day. So again, whole sources, carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and really limited desserts and that sort of thing, and those high sugars. We will actually be saving those for use on the ride when we're needing that sort of fuel, that kind of rocket fuel we call. So really, whole food sources are going to be the key in between workouts, whether it be back-to-back workouts or back-to-back stage races or that sort of thing. All right, and the third part of today's key, or the third kind of key to all this, is getting more sleep. All of us need more sleep, obviously, but like for myself and a lot of my athletes, you're balancing between work, training, and family, and all those things. So really, it's a balance, but it is important to understand that deep sleep is crucial for an athlete's recovery, because all the things that kind of make the muscles grow, the FTP grow, the power gets stronger, is actually all released during our sleep, during deep sleep. It stimulates muscle growth, muscle repair, rest, recovery. All those things are all hand in hand with deep sleep. And so the key is that for optimal recovery, you need between 7 and 10 hours of sleep. 7 and 10 hours of sleep. So something to really think about there. So let's see. So a couple tips. So how do I get better sleep? What we want to do is try to avoid interruptions in our sleep. Definitely difficult here. So what you want to look at is trying to sleep in a cooler environment. We're looking at 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to limit your light exposure, specifically in the hours after the sun goes down and about 2 hours before you actually go to sleep. That includes being on Zwift. That includes cell phones, checking what's on Zwift, and all those other things. And, as far as using Facebook and that sort of cell phone devices, computers, laptops, that sort of thing, you want to eliminate as much light as possible in the room. So you're talking about, blackout curtains. You're talking about, turning the LED alarm clock down. I've gone as far as in like hotel rooms in between days to bring like black gaffer's tape to put over like the little light on the television or the smoke alarm, that sort of thing, just to get no interruptions in that sense. And then of course, avoid consuming any alcohol before sleep, because it could definitely mix with your sleeping habits or sleeping pattern and not allow you to get into deep sleep. All right, and then the fourth component of all of this is utilizing compression and proactive cooling. So obviously, you've done and heard about elevating your legs, using compression garments, and then all the way to pneumatic compression. If you're not familiar with pneumatic compression, what it is actually boots that you would actually put on both of your legs, and it actually will compress and compress and relax, pushing extracellular fluid or just fluid out of your legs and back up towards your heart to be recycled and to be cleaned up and brought back clean blood to the other parts of the body. So, but something as easy as laying on the floor, putting your legs up, or putting on, your compression gear after calf sleeves, that sort of thing. I do a little bit of both. Elevating legs after a ride. I wear compression garments usually almost every day to work, just because I am working out every day. And then pneumatic compression, not as fancy as that, but we do have teammates that have posted fun photos of I think it's the Normatec boots. Really great. Really great setup. Never tried it, but definitely would love to try something like that at some point. All right, so what does the study say? What is the science? You know me, I'm big on science. So what does the study say? It's on both sides of does compression help or not? But here's the thing: if you do compression, if you put your legs up, if you're using the boots, if you're doing something, it makes you sit still and rest. And the bottom line is at the end of a day, let's say a hard day workout, you want to try to sit down. A lot of the times, athletes will have like standing jobs, and I'll make sure that they're not standing the rest of the day. They can sit when they can. A lot of times people try to be like, oh, I want to do a stand-up desk. I want to be active all day. But if you're putting so much effort, so much work into your morning sessions, let's say, and then you go to work all day standing, you really need to find a way to kind of fight that, or kind of combat that and get some rest. Whether it be, sitting, putting your feet up while you're working, that sort of thing can get you the recovery that you're looking for. So either way, it's good for recovery and something a lot of athletes just don't do or won't do for very long. So just taking that time, taking that effort to have a conscious mind saying, hey, at lunch, I'm going to try to put my feet up 10 minutes while I check Facebook, while I, update this, that, or the other, update my status. All right, so then there is about cooling. So the current stance in the science about the issue of immersion in cool water can definitely be beneficial for recovery, especially for bringing the core temperature down. So think about coming in after a ride, your body temperature, or off the bike, off Zwift, let's say, and you're just overheating. You had all the fans on, it was a nice cool day, but your body temperature is elevated. So getting that temperature down is key as you come off the bike, and very, very important. So that is the core of it all, bringing that core temperature down after a long day. So that skin temperature being high and the core temperature being high can diminish both recovery and your sleep quality. So there's a couple ways we can do this. And so we could sit in a cool bath. We could relax at a cool hotel pool, jumping into that. And even as little as finishing in the shower with a cool rinse, like if you're taking a warm shower, getting all cleaned up, and at the end, you switch it over to cool. And what I typically do is I'll hit it on cold, and then I'll just keep ticking it over every couple so often until I can get all the way to the cold section, and then I shut it off. And it's as cold as I can get it through that amount of time. Really, the science doesn't show that it needs to be a full immersion into this ice cold bath. If you have access to that, obviously, but it is for a very short time. But the cooling rinse is probably more useful to most of our cyclists on the multi-day event as something that you can do, whether it be at a hotel or that sort of thing. The other thing to think about is that our events are not as impacted, meaning like it's not how running is and the body is taking this impact on the ground constantly. So it's something that it's not as much of an impact as it would be for other exercises or other types of sports. Couple references here, but let's bring it back to our first slide where we talk about all four things here. So today we covered how to optimize, as far as optimizing your post-workout recovery, in specific, what to do when it's the next day that you're trying to work out or back-to-back days. We talked a little bit about focusing on fluid intake throughout the afternoon, evening, specifically right when you get off the bike. And then to replenish your energy levels with quality nutrition, making sure that you are focusing on your macros, meaning carbohydrates, clean sources of protein, and then also fats. Getting more sleep. I talked a couple things about how you can get better sleep and how much sleep you need and how to prioritize that. And then also talked about using compression when you get off the bike, when to do that and how to work that into your day, as well as proactive cooling methods, whether it be a cool rinse or trying to get into a bath or jumping into a pool, that sort of thing, getting that core temperature down. So definitely something that we can look out there. So let me check social media here, and I can unmute a couple people here in the chat and see if there's any questions. Got a couple writers here in Discord. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. I know Mr. John Mora and David Bussey are on if there's anything there, and I will check Facebook here. Looks good. There's one message here. I think we're good. All right, so not too many comments this morning, but lots of viewers, so welcome. I do want to make a note that this article can be found at cts.com, which is Carmichael Training Systems. So if you are interested, this is a great resource for all of us, both coaches and athletes, to get information at Carmichael Training System. He is one of pretty much the legends as far as starting training by power and that sort of thing. He's got some great training programs. He's got a great book I've read many times through. So definitely check that out. If you have any questions about this topic in particular, I'll post the full link of the article in the post after this, as well as be able to answer any questions. But definitely something to work out. Think about after your workouts. As far as recovery, a lot of us are doing more and more, and this is really great topic on the hinge of something that, like I mentioned at the beginning, that Zwift Fitness and Team ODZ are working together on. It actually starts on June 5th. It's an FTP challenge specifically for C and D riders, and what we will be doing is providing a structured workout for 8 weeks of training to see how we could increase their fitness metrics over that amount of time. And so getting this amount of workout in and doing the post-recovery work is going to be very important for those riders, and we'll be kind of taking them through that journey. I think we opened registration just a day or two ago, and we have over 150 riders already confirmed to ride. We'll be splitting everybody up into teams, getting them team captains as well, sort of for a little bit of accountability, making sure they're getting their rides done, as well as scoring that team, each team, to be able to see how they all improve, and we have the scoring on that change, and at the end there'll be a winner of that team. So it should be really exciting. So if there's any questions, definitely post it up in the feed. Don't forget to check our whole gamut of schedule that we have.